Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Alberto from the Unstoppable Creator, and with me today there's Ciler from Newsletter Circle. I butchered her name, though she just explained the pronunciation to me. But despite that, I think we'll have a great interview. And so, first of all, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Alberto. It's a pleasure for me. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm really excited about what we are going to talk about today.
Yeah, great. We will talk about processes, mindset, habits, most of all about this. And you have uh, a, a newsletter that's grown fast, but you also publish a lot. So and not only on Substack. So I'm very curious about how you work and how you keep producing and publishing. And first of all, just introduce what you are doing right now as a content creator on Substack and in general.
Of course. Um, yeah, as you perfectly pronounce my name, this is Ciler from Newsletter Circle. I've been running Newsletter Circle for the last 2 years. It's a publication dedicated to helping other newsletter creators about how they can build their publications from scratch. I've done over 80 written interviews with newsletter operators with different list sizes so far. I basically publish weekly interviews. These are written interviews. I also host live sessions here on Substack with creators. So it's kind of first time for me that I'm not hosting, but I'm guest. So it's another reason to be excited today. In addition to that, I launched a comprehensive report in the beginning of this year where I analyzed over 75,000 Substack newsletters. So I researched, studied the space, and publish insightful reports and articles again about how to build a newsletter business. I'm fully dedicated to newsletter circle currently.
Okay.
I actually started on Substack 2 years ago and then switched to Beehive and stayed there for 1 year. It was a mistake, to be honest, because I did this just after Substack launched Notes.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
the growth would have been even bigger if I stayed. But then again, in the beginning of this year, I switched back, and I'm quite happy to be back due to all the community features and the collaboration opportunities here. They are amazing, to be honest. I've also offered consulting service for creators who want to build their newsletters, etc. So yes, there are lots of things going on currently, but basically this is it.
And you started in 2023, but before you were already self-employed or you were regularly employed?
Um,
There-
I actually from a totally. Sorry, I think there's a problem in connection. You're frozen.
yeah,
Okay,
for a
you're
moment
back.
we were frozen too. Okay, we are back.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm coming from a totally different background. I was working in a global corporate company in marketing, market research, portfolio strategy roles. So I was a typical white collar and had no intention to start my own business in the early years actually. And then during the I went for a short term assignment to another country, Switzerland, and stayed there for 1 year. It was kind of a period that I a bit slowed down because um, in Turkey I was working with really intense overtimes, and
Ah,
it was a really busy job. So it didn't give me to think about what I'm doing, why I'm doing, whether I'm satisfied with it, etc. I was just going with the flow. And then during this 1 year assignment in another country, which has way better working conditions. I
Yeah,
I had a chance to listen myself and question what I'm doing, etc. And then just during the pandemics, these questions arise and even got bigger. And at some point, I quit, like without a B plan or anything. Only thing that I knew that I want to build something myself, and it should be online so that it can give me flexibility in terms of how I live my life, and
yeah,
also it should be related to content creation because reading, writing, researching, these were like my personal interests
yeah,
already. So I wanted to build an online content business. But of course, it took some time to find this newsletter niche.
yeah,
I first I did different stuff, experimented with different platforms, etc. And then actually I started a newsletter about online business where I was writing about what I've been learning about this online world, which was
yeah,
really new to me. And for one issue, I wrote an article about how to start a newsletter and what's going on in the newsletter space. And when I was
yeah,
writing this newsletter, I realized that there are not so many resources out there who share different creators' journeys, growth monetization strategies, etc. Currently,
yeah,
I know there are more publications writing about how to grow a Substack and
yeah.
newsletter, but it was not the case actually 2 years ago. So I decided to niche down, and this is how Newsletter Circle was born. And since I didn't have any prior presence in the space, I started doing interviews,
Yeah.
reaching out to other creators. So while I was building my own newsletter, I also had the opportunity to learn from them.
Okay, I have a lot of questions. I was thinking, I was listening to your reply, thinking like a beginner, and the first thing before diving into your processes, I'm really interested in that. But uh, many people want to do the switch from regular job to uh, content entrepreneur. You can call it this way, and it's obviously very scary. And a wise way to do it is to save some money to cover for I don't know 1 year, 2 years, and then try. You instead just just quit,
No, but
and
I
without
saved. No, no, no. I saved my money as well.
okay,
This
you
is this
were
is a no-brainer, because your dreams or aspirations don't pay the bills, so you
yeah
pay, and that's the only way that you you find out what you will build, um, without stressing out about all these material things. I
okay
think it's critical. It's critical to save some money, define a certain time as a deadline. Okay, this is my time to start something and figure
yeah.
out and build. Why I'm saying I had no plan, I was not clear about what I need to build. That was the reason why I said I quit without a plan B.
Okay, in that sense, yeah, and you basically run experiments, uh, trying different topics, maybe around similar niches, but not a very small or very specific niche, and yeah, try different platforms and different topics. You said right? Okay, and and there was another thing I was thinking about. Yeah, you started with interviews, but for a beginner, it's hard to get guests because you have not, you don't have 40,000 subscribers, and you can't give visibility to your
Mhm.
guests. So, how did you approach that? Were you scared? Were you, uh, you didn't, you just did want to, you just wanted to make it work? What was your mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question actually, because my intention to start with interviews is to build a presence and build relationship with other
Yeah,
creators, right? But as you said, when you reach out someone and when they see that you don't have any, existing audience, they may refuse or reject the offer. So I don't know. I was a bit fearless in this. I trusted that I will find someone, a few people eventually. And then after, doing a few interviews, you
yeah,
already have a material or example or reference to show others.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think finding these initial 3, 4 interviews was the most difficult part theoretically, but it became easy for me because I looked for people who already um, who already love sharing what they are building. You know,
Oh, okay.
as Adam Grant say, they are more givers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand.
not takers. So they were kind of building in public. Th- their lists were not small, by the way. They were big creators. But yes, I just, based on their social media posting and their content and other podcasts they joined, I just got the feeling that they would be interested and they're humble, in that sense.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I was a bit lucky, of
Okay.
course. I chose
Oh,
the
no,
right
maybe
people.
not because it's you didn't just go for the you didn't just choose randomly or just
Yeah, yeah.
contacted the ones you liked, but you especially you used a good selection criteria. I think it's yeah,
Exactly. Because
it has.
it's obvious that someone reached out to me. I also want to check the previous work, or what this person is working
Yeah,
on, whether it's someone credible or not. You would like to see some evidence, right? So yeah, so I also approach it like with that mindset, and then I got lucky. They were great people. They accepted to share their journeys. And also, as I said back then, there were not many resources doing this.
uh-huh.
Currently, especially on Substack, we, we always see all these, live sessions. Creators are hosting each other, talking about how to grow a newsletter, sharing journeys, etc. It's really heavily increased
Yeah, yeah,
for the last maybe 6 months or 1 year. So I think a space dedicated to newsletter creators' journeys were interesting for them, and they just wanted to contribute it. Of course, it
yeah.
was a risk. I could stop after releasing 5 interviews, but they just took this risk.
Perfect. Yeah, actually, I've done a few interviews myself, and I've seen that there are many people eager to contribute, just basically contribute, and they
Yeah.
never. The size of my newsletter was always smaller than the newsletter of my guests, and it was never a problem. And
I Sorry, just one thing to add. This is also what I love about this space. I think there is this collaborative approach and eagerness to share learnings
yeah,
um, is something common, right? The culture of these newsletter creators is
yeah,
really welcoming and supporting. I don't think that this is the case in many other industries or areas.
of course,
This
yeah, yeah,
this
you're right.
this was one of the reasons why I wanted to stay in that niche and in this environment.
Yeah, yeah. And so, welcome to the people who joined us. We will talk for about half an hour, and so if you have any questions, put them in the chat so we can reply. And uh, now, going to your habits and processes. You are a full-time creator, basically. And so, how is your typical day?
Mm-hmm. How is my typical day? Okay, so first of all, I recently posted about this. Previously, I was starting every day by doing like long to-do lists for the rest of the day. And I was always, closing the day without completing all
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Yes, I was overwhelming myself with all these to-dos. Now I start every week. Actually, I do it on Sundays. I define the biggest two, three priorities for the upcoming week and then shape everything around it. But this should be maximum three things. Other than that, I'm burning out. Um, and then during the weekdays, I prefer to get up early, uh, like 7:30, and even like during the summertime, even earlier. Um, 2 or 3 times in a week, I do workouts, do Pilates, etc. It's a really big way to keep my energy high.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, during the weeks that I don't go workout, I feel terrible. And then
Yeah.
I need, yeah, currently I'd like to add more calorie burning activities in addition to these workouts. I was running back then, but due to any injury, I'm not doing it. So I plan to swim this summer, for example, regularly. So I think, as a solo creator, you are working alone, right? By the way, I have a teammate. We are working remotely.
Yeah.
There is Aicha who is, also working for Newsletter Circle. But we are working remotely, so you are alone. You are sitting for long hours. So it's really important to keep your health balanced and to keep you, fit and
Yeah.
work out. This is why I emphasize this heavily. And then, yeah, we started. Also, after a while, I there was a period that I worked from home for a long time. But then started to go a co-working space because
Yeah.
staying at home during the whole week, starting the day and finishing the day in the same place is not good for me.
Ah,
So
okay.
I have a co-working space. I go there and home. I can separate. And some days, if I don't have the energy to go co-working space, I work in a cafe. But the point here is that I try to change my working from the place where I live.
Interesting.
And then we start today with a daily call with my mates and we review all the to-dos for the rest of the day on Mondays for the rest of the week. And yeah, the following day we just, continue talking from the point where we left. Um, Yeah, I mean, this is actually, I try to finish the day at 7 p.m. or something, not to work at night, but
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time.
Okay.
I also work one day during the weekend for sure, but I always take Saturdays off just to refresh and give a break.
Yeah. And so, but you end your day at 7 p.m., but you have breaks for your physical activity, for example, during the
Yeah,
day.
I
No.
do it. I prefer to do it in the morning, to be honest. So I'm
Yeah.
doing it, yeah, and then I can go to the place that I work. But
Yeah.
of course, during today, I take some breaks. I take 1 hour lunch break for sure, and then I also give some small breaks
Uh-huh.
within the day. I'm not the person who can work like for 4 hours. There
Yeah.
are there are the times that I do it, especially if I write something or if I really focus on researching something, but it's not sustainable. It's not my regular process, I can
No.
say. It happens from time to time, but I prefer to take breaks, definitely.
And your main kind of content is basically are case studies, in-depth case studies about newsletters. From what I see, you do
Still,
also interviews.
yeah, still actually the interviews are the backbone, I mean the main content,
Okay.
I can say. But I'm adding more and more next to alongside these interviews. As you said, I'm publishing some case studies, also publishing articles where I compile the answers and structured and also coupled with more actionable recommendations. Also,
Yeah.
his live sessions, I'm doing them regularly. Not on a specific day or something, but I try to do lives every week. This is also an important part of my content.
Yeah. And what's your process? Because from what I see, your articles are pretty long, and so I think you have to do some work, some research, or a lot of research, and then some maybe contact the author directly, or interview him or her. And so, how long does it take? A single article, a single one of the in-depth articles.
In-depth articles take so much time,
Yeah,
as you can say, and how I approach to an article change depending on the structure or the content of the article. For example, this week we will publish a paid article where we reach out 50 creators and ask one question to them about their paid subscription strategy. So for these kind of articles, of course, it starts with creating a list of people
yeah,
who we need to reach out, right? So there is this research part. For example, we ask, how did you gain your first 100 paid subscribers?
yeah,
I mean, what has been the most effective in terms of growth strategy? So for this one, we need to find some bestsellers, and they should be actively publishing content, and also they should be from different categories, so that not to create something biased, like all not all the newsletters should be from business categories, so there needs to be a balance, etc. And then you create a pool, and then of course not all of the creators are responding, so you need to reach more people than you include in the research. For sure. So for this one, actually, yeah, it also depends on when you get the response and when you collect enough number of responses, right? It's
yeah.
not all depending on what we are doing. But for these kind of projects, uh, I try to dedicate a week for a certain job. Okay, this week is the research week. We'll find the creators to reach. We'll decide on the final list. We create the reach out message, complete the reach outs, etc. So I try to go like one by one. And then I in the beginning I define a certain deadline to publish the article. I do a retro plan, actually. When should we finalize the reach outs, or when should we collect all the answers, etc. And then after getting all these responses, I think in a few, yeah, it takes, if I dedicate the whole day, it takes, I don't know, 3 days or 2 3 days to
Wow.
create a piece out of it, because there are all these responses,
Yeah.
and then you need to structure them, you need to categorize them, and you need to create a story out of their responses. It's not like publishing all these responses one
Yeah,
by one.
not just copy and paste. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, this Substack report that I published, yeah, it took 2 months in total. with all the research, data scraping part, analysis, cleaning the data, and then creating a story and creating
Yeah,
a 70 pages report, because there should always be a story and a message, right, that you are giving, and you need
yeah.
to make sure that it's easy to understand for people.
And did you and do you use AI to put together or extract?
Yes, I use ChatGPT um, heavily, I can say. It helps me a lot to create more meaningful, um, how to say, structures,
Yeah,
and also ensure the flow is smooth and
yeah.
easy to understand. It saves time, definitely. But still, it's not possible to leave everything to ChatGPT.
No, good.
You yeah, it still takes some time. But the research part is the most time consuming part. This is the part that ChatGPT cannot do for the woman. But this is also the reason why I prefer publishing such content. I like to I like to create content which is original, not found anywhere else, and not created by AI.
Yeah, yeah. And uh, didn't deep research help you? The deep research feature in ChatGPT, did you try it to research creators?
I haven't tried it because I'm more after all these personal experiences and in first hand answers, right?
Okay.
But for this, for example, report where I analyzed 75,000 Substack newsletters, there was some automation, not AI, but data scraping. I work with a
Yeah,
data
yeah.
scraper, etc. So I didn't do this research
To
manually.
track the data and then maybe so that you can
Yeah,
calculate or find the number, find
and
the
also
overview.
Yeah, and also these kind of researches help me to introduce my work to more creators and to build relationships. I'm not after like fast skyrocket growth. I'm I have a steady, ongoing growth. But in the meantime, I built all these relationships with other creators, collaborations. So these reports and asking them a question helped me to build all these relationships with them as well.
Yeah. What did I think Substack is a platform that or maybe the creators on Substack really want to collaborate or at least create the many loose relationships, regardless of the size
Yes.
of their audiences. So, for example, I published many guest posts. I did a few interviews, and there there was it was easy to find collaborations. What did you get from these collaborations, or are they just built in for now?
No, I got many thanks to this, collaborations, of course. Um, yeah, these relationships that you built are turning into recommendations, right?
Yeah,
First of all, uh, and this means new subscribers and
yeah,
guest posts. Again, I gain hundreds of subscribers through the guest posts I wrote so far.
yeah, yeah,
I can say that. It gives you visibility in the eyes of the people. You had the chance to introduce your work and yourself for different audiences. So in the end, in this in this world, creator world, it's all about compound impact and
yeah.
seeing the compounding results. So it's growing word of mouth. So all these collaborations, maybe some of them are not bringing like so many subscribers or something, but then, after a few months, this creator comes to you with another idea of collaborations. So some
Yeah, you
stuff
can
that
up.
Yeah, some
It's
venues or some
serendipity in
opportunities.
a way.
Yeah, some opportunities, this kind of collaborations can lead to something bigger in the future.
Uh-huh.
So I think also there are stuff that I learned from people that I met. Sometimes I knock their door and ask a question about their expertise, get help, and they're doing this without expecting anything in return. Um, so yeah, these things take time. And this is what I love about this Substack environment and creators. Of course, not everyone, but most of the creators have this approach, I think. And that's why they support each other. Um, yeah, I think investing in relationships is really critical, really
Yeah,
crucial.
and you made them the central focus of your newsletter exists thanks to your
Yes,
relationships. Yeah.
exactly. I'm trying to um how to say help creators learn from each other,
Yeah.
basically.
And going back to your process, your your normal articles, not the huge multi-creator studies you did. How do you can't spend many weeks on every single article? So the usual the medium-sized articles on your publication. How do you plan, organize your work for them?
Mhm. Since I publish interviews every week, maybe I can shortly mention about it. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for interviews, I don't make reach outs every week.
Okay.
Actually,
Ah.
yeah, we dedicate, for example, a certain week. Okay, now we need to lock the interviews for the next 2 months,
Yeah.
and then we are doing these heavy reach outs until we lock 8 interviews, and then we prepare the questions at once, send them, create
Ah.
the
So you batch.
timeline.
You constantly batch your work
Yeah.
to separate the phases. Okay. Okay.
Mhm. So, I mean, always I have the next, I know the next 7, 8 interviews,
Uh-huh.
I, so I gave them the timeline, align with the creator, etc. So there are some dedicated weeks that I do
Yeah.
this. So it makes my job um, really easy.
Okay.
Because when you rely on other people's responding to you, you need to give some buffer and you need to
Yes.
plan beforehand. This is really important. You also need to make sure that you give enough time for them to answer all these questions, right?
Ah. Right.
Uh,
Because you send the questions via email, and then they
yes,
get
in a
interested.
in a Google Doc, and I give at least 2 weeks to each creator. Most of the time, 3 weeks for them to answer, share their answers back. And then if there is a need, I ask some follow-up questions.
Yeah. Ah.
Uh,
So it's a long process. Yeah.
yes, and there are some, this identity card, newsletter identity card table, so they need to input
Yeah.
their metrics, etc. Yeah, I ask a lot, so I give enough time to them to finalize all these answers, and then yeah, Aicha is actually leading this process currently, my teammate.
Hmm.
So we decide on, the potential interview candidates, who who should we reach out, etc. I always review the questions. I'm also in the process for sure, but she's
Yeah.
leading so that I can create more time for other things like creating other articles and also the business sides of it. To be
Of
honest,
course.
like
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. And so, how much of your week is spent on creating content? How much is spent on the business side, or anything else, anything other than creating content?
hmm. Yeah, it changed because I don't publish an article every week in addition to
Okay.
interviews. So we have these weekly interviews. we really made the process efficient for these interviews. So I don't spend so much time for it, for sure.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I dedicate always 1 or 2 days because I also write many guest posts for other publications.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think spend 1 full day to content creation every
Okay.
week. I can
Okay.
say that. Yeah.
And I think you started telling us your recent note when where you shared that you now have just three priorities, and the hard thing is how do you choose the right priorities? Because you could say, I don't know, my priority is content, is writing new content, and keep creating new content every week, and forget about growing the revenue of your publication, for example, or analyzing your stats to improve your content. Many other. So how are you sure or reasonably sure that you are choosing the right priorities?
Yes, I'm not sure all the time.
Yeah, of
Obviously,
course.
we yeah we. I'm not claiming that I choose the right priorities all the time. But when you overwhelm yourself with so many to dos, in the end, sometimes you end up with doing nothing. So
Uh-huh.
I think at least choosing some priorities and stay sticking to them is better than all this
Okay.
chaos.
Interesting point of view. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and then I have some objectives in the mid short term. That there are
Mm-hmm.
some bigger objectives in my mind. Like
Okay.
I don't know, for example, yeah, this month I need to find this number of sponsors, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah, so all these weekly to-dos are somehow linked to the bigger objective that I already defined for the month or for the short term. Or
Okay.
if it's like the paid subscription launch, and then yeah, writing paid articles became priority.
Absolutely.
Or yeah, also there are some works that you need to do on time. For example, I launched this Substack report, and then the following weeks, my whole priority was to distribute it, to promote it. So writing guest posts about it, doing all these reach outs, because once you publish the report, you can't postpone all this promotion 3-4 months later, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is
Okay.
love and,
Well, it
and
was a huge work. It needed.
yeah,
Yeah.
people show this interest, there is a hype, so you need to leverage on this. And then this is the price. So it changes a lot depending on the context,
So
I guess.
you touched on an important point, because basically you have set medium and long-term goals, and
Yeah.
they inspire your weekly priorities. How you probably know that there are many um, uh, perspectives about goal setting. So how do you set your goals? Do you have fixed moments in the year, or I don't know? How do you do it?
Yes. Actually, in the beginning, I was really bad at doing this. And I think my biggest mistake when I started Newsletter Circle was not clearly putting some goals. I was discovery mode all the time. But
Yeah,
it's because I was also learning this, topic that I'm talking about. And
yeah.
now I know what I talk about. I know the topic, so I put objectives. For example, I have a few year-end metrics that I would like
Ah,
to
okay.
achieve. Yeah, these numeric metrics, performance metrics in terms of number of subscribers, etc. I have a goal of monthly revenue that I would like to achieve again by the end of this year.
Mhm.
Um, Also, a couple of, and then I always do the retro plan. Okay, this is the objective. Then how can I reach this?
Yeah, yeah.
Then I need to gain. this number of subscribers every month. Okay, then how can I gain this number of subscribers? Okay, then each month I need to put some efforts to to
Mhm.
this kind
And do
of.
you find that over time, on average, I may say, uh, on average, these goals uh, are y- are you able to uh, set realistic goals? Because in my experience and in many other people experiences, sometimes there are too many factors out of our control that
Sure.
change. So if you set very precise numbers, it's very easy to miss them, but maybe you achieve something else.
Yeah, you are totally right. I was also always putting unrealistic goals higher than I could achieve,
Yeah,
and then I stopped doing this. Currently, I'm looking at my growth trends,
yeah,
and then put a bit more higher compared to this. Put an objective a bit more stressing, but
yeah.
not
Me
unrealistic.
too.
So it's based on how things go actually. But also they should be a bit challenging so that you
Yeah.
should do more
Me
to
too.
reach
Yeah,
them.
me too.
Yes, so but it took my 2 years to come to this point.
So you feel you learned how to set
Yes,
better goals.
yes, but also still, every day is full of surprises. Yeah, different opportunities arose, different, I don't know, collaboration opportunities appear, or
Yeah,
I received a different offer, etc. So it changed a lot. Um, but I know that, okay, I will keep publishing my content, growing my audience, and this is the type of content that I'd like to create in Newsletter Circle.
yeah,
These are the main monetization and growth channels, okay. But the rest, of course, things change. I think this is also really important because I was so obsessed with these objectives
yeah.
previously. Once I set an objective, I should go for it. But when you are building something yourself, you need to be flexible. Flexibility, learning how to become flexible is a real challenge, in my opinion. You shouldn't fall in love with your ideas. You need
Yeah.
to you need to let it go if it's not working. I
And
spent
what helped you? What helped you? What did help you learn this to be more flexible?
Yeah, what learned me all the mistakes, my personal experiences. Because yeah, I fell in love with an idea and I kept doing the same thing over and over again. And in the end, there is no result all the time, maybe money, all the resource that I lost. So this is the best learning actually. So
Yeah,
then you come to a point that, okay, if it's something not working, then you need to change. You need to move on. You need to take things personal. Yeah, you need to be more resilient. I was more emotional in the beginning. Uh,
cool.
yeah, now I'm being more on realistic side and okay, this is business. So you don't have to make everything work. If it's not, move on. So this is
Move
the
on.
approach. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that I achieve doing this all the time. This is a continuous, never ending learning process.
yeah,
That's for sure. But these are the things that I remind myself at least. And this is the approach that I want to follow, that I'm trying to follow. At least
yeah.
I can say that. I never say that I figured things out and I know everything and I have the perfect system. I never say that.
And it's amazing how every content creator, every entrepreneur has to go through this
Yes.
personally. You have to live this personally,
Yes.
even if you read all the books about.
Yes, yes. No, I share all these creator interviews, right? And I see from their answers that they lived really similar things. They
Yeah,
experience similar challenges. But unfortunately, unless you yourself, unless you don't experience yourself, it's not really possible to achieve these mindset shifts.
Yeah, yeah, it's like having to change something inside your brain through experience.
Yes,
Yeah,
it takes
yeah,
time. Sometimes it's happening when you don't think about this stuff, right? So it's that's why I'm saying that it's really important to create some personal times, me times, and
mm,
not to overload with yourself with content creation and obsessing with
yeah.
growing
So
and
what's
everything.
your personal time? How do you, yeah, know your reflect, or I don't know, meditate?
Meditate. I wish, but yeah, I never did this. My husband is doing a great job in meditating every day and every night, but I'm not doing it. Yeah, taking walks work perfectly, in my opinion. Taking long walks.
Without a music or podcast, just walking and thinking.
It changed, but most of the time without the music, just listening to the sound of the nature and
Yeah,
people, because this is a lonely job, right?
yeah,
Being a creator, even like going to a co-working space is motivating me. Feeling this energy of other people working as well helps me to stay more focused. Even
yeah.
there, despite there is this, a noise or something in the background, it helps actually. And then yes, as I said, I always give one day off. I take one day off during the weekend on Saturdays mostly. I
Yeah.
spend time with my husband, my friends, my family. So I do some um, other activities that I don't have to think about business or
Yeah.
newsletter or anything. I think taking these breaks are really important. I minimize my social media consumption,
Mm,
to be honest. Yes, both for fun and for job. I spent more time on Substack notes, but I
okay.
was spending so much time on Instagram, etc. I minimized it. They're not their impact is not really positive on me.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. For many people, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some hobbies. I love watching movies a lot, reading books, etc. So I create time for this.
Okay. So you told me that your voice needs some rest, and so I will let you go now. Thank you for or your replies. They were interesting, very interesting, and I'll publish the recording on Wednesday, so other people can know you and how you work. Where should people reach you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Substack, so they can just DM me on Substack. I'm
Perfect.
regularly checking my inbox on Substack. Apart from that, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm also regularly checking LinkedIn. Or if they subscribe to Newsletter Circle, they can reply to any newsletter issues. I'm always checking who is messaging and always reply.
Perfect.
Yeah, there are many channels that they can reach reach out to
Okay.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And yeah, maybe we'll have an update in a few months and see how things went. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Alberto. It was a pleasure. See you.
Goodbye. Good evening.
Bye bye.